right. Can you folks hear me all right? Glad that you know me. Can everyone hear me? Oh, well, it's a shame that you guys have to listen to me ramble for the next however long until they pull the plug. My name is Mike Lombardo. I am the sick bastard that was responsible for a good portion of the stuff that you just subjected yourself to willingly for some foolish reason. And I'm here to talk to you about whatever the fuck you guys want to talk about. So why don't you ask me something? I guess. The shorts you just watched, how did I get into filmmaking? Okay, we can start there. Well, I was actually sold into child sex trafficking at a young age. My parents were Serbian, and I kind of learned the ropes through that. And then when I was about probably 10 or 11, actually, no, I was probably like 7 or 8, I started watching Tales from the Crypt. I mean, I've been obsessed with horror films since I was a wee one. But I saw that, and Death Becomes Her was a really big influence on me. I wanted to be a special effects artist because of that. So I just started pissing around, and started pissing around with makeup effects and everything, and I kind of taught myself how to make movies. Not that that's self-evident or anything, based on the quality of them. But I just kept going, and I taught myself. I didn't go to film school. I couldn't afford it. It was very expensive, and I didn't really like school very much. So after I got out of high school, I started to really hit the books and try to learn about that stuff. And well, Real Splatter just celebrated its 10-year anniversary a couple of weeks ago, actually. So I'm still going strong. I've wasted a decade of my life, and the fact that I'm here right now talking to you fine folks means that obviously something came of it. So I'm going to stop rambling and go to the next question here. Let's see. What movies or books inspired you to be the sick bastard that you are? Books. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was a huge influence on me, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with. Any scary story book. Goosebumps was a really, really big one on me. And then as far as films, anything from Trauma, I was obsessed with Trauma, still am. John Waters, David Cronenberg, Peter Jackson, and Sam Raimi, obviously huge influences. Dead Alive was like my Bible when I was a kid. That still is, actually. And then a lot of 90s TV, like Ren and Stimpy and Pete and Pete from Nickelodeon. Not that you would know that from Womb for Two or anything, but those were really, really big influences on me. As far as my first camera, I had a big-ass VHS camera that was super bulky and horrible to use. It weighed about 15 pounds, and I used to film stuff with that. And I actually got that when I was in 7th grade. I started filming little shorts with that. And then when I was in high school, I took a course called ComTech, where I got to learn editing and nonlinear editing. And I made my first film, which was The Video Dead, Tip of the Hat to Amelia Earhart, which I believe I didn't fail the project. It was a zombie flick about a kid watching zombie movies on TV, and he falls asleep and zombies come out of the screen, and it's all super original. I did that, freaked out my teacher quite a bit. Actually, I almost got kicked out of high school. They thought that I was insane because the Real Splatter movies kind of surfaced, and it was post-Columbine, so because I was expressing myself in some manner, they thought that I was a nut. So I had to fight with the school board over that. I had some English teachers and art teachers that were allies, so I made it through, barely. But so that was all early on. Then I ended up getting a digital video camera when I was in high school, and then I saved up and I bought my first 3-chip mini DV camera. It was a Samsung, and I thought that I was hot shit. And that's what we filmed pretty much all the movies you just watched on up until Long Pig. We shot the second half of that, the old-looking stuff, with the mini DV camera, and the first half we shot with a 60D, which is a Canon DSLR, which is what we then shot the stall on. We actually filmed the ghost movie part of Long Pig and the stall simultaneously. Let's see. What is the greatest enjoyment you get from making your movies? Probably just exploiting people and bending them to my will. I really like to manipulate and impose my will on people. No, I love creating stuff. I mean, I couldn't not write and splatter fake blood on stuff. I mean, I've been doing that since I was a kid, and it just really is the greatest feeling in the world. You know, getting together with your friends and just making weird shit, and it's a compulsion. It's not even a you know, it's not like I want to do this. It's actually probably bankrupted me for the next 20 years doing this stuff, but I can't stop. It's like a horrible drug. The subject we're going to tackle in our next film is actually called Carnal House, or Charnel House, the way it's pronounced technically, but it's a little bit of a pun. It is a romantic comedy about a necrophiliac. It's pretty disgusting. There's some maggots, some scenes involving maggots that are pretty grotesque. So I just need to find a male and female actor and actress that are willing to go full nude and cover themselves in slime and maggots, and then we can start shooting that one. But that'll be fun. I mean, things are going to go in much more of a serious direction, like the stall, a lot more along the lines of the stall, less so Womb for Two. Though we are in the middle of making, I'm editing our 10-year anniversary movie, Blowjob in a Can, which is a spiritual sequel to an old movie we did called Homemade Roofies. That's from the era of Womb for Two. It's very much like that, so it should be a lot of fun for you guys. And that actually has the entire original crew back for all the old movies. Will there be a sequel to Womb for Two? I would love to do a sequel to Womb for Two. The problem is Homemade Roofies, not Old Man Roofies. Really, Old Man Roofies, you just have to push them a little bit. They don't have the best balance, and then they don't remember shit anyways. They have Alzheimer's, so. But that's a topic for another. That's a topic for another director's chat that hopefully is not being recorded by the NSA. Womb for Two, I can't get the original cast and crew back. The woman who played the mom was a friend of mine that I worked with. She was a sweet, super innocent young gal who had never sworn before in her life until I made her say my fucking roast. But she had some issues with the scripts that I had written because the other episode was about Billy finds a stash of his dad's porn, and he masturbates inside of his mom's womb, and his mom becomes pregnant. So he's convinced that he is going to be the father of his own child. Then we had another one about Billy is sick and he's hallucinating from a fever, and he hears his parents. There's a B story where they see a mouse, and they're trying to kill this mouse, and they're talking about how they're trying to call an exterminator. So in his fever dreams, he hears this and he thinks they're going to have an abortion. So he goes crazy. So either way, those scripts didn't fly. So what we might end up doing with Scott, the guy who stars in the stall and all that, he's an animator by trade. So we might do a cartoon version of Womb for Two, which I would love to do and pitch to Adult Swim. So I have a lot more ideas for that sort of thing. See, Rhonda, you said a lot of your family seems to be in your films very often. Have they always supported you and your vision? It depends on what caliber gun I was holding to their head. They never quite understood what I was doing, but they tolerate me because I haven't changed, and I think they finally realized that I'm not going to grow up and become a productive member of society, so they just kind of humor me because it's easier than listening to me bitch. But now they're starting to get a kick out of the stuff that I'm doing, so you know they're pretty nice. I can't really complain about them too much. Let's see here. What do we got now? Old Man Roofies. You guys are sick. Why would you even talk about this shit? Old dude drugs. Psyched to rape her. Passes. That's it. I'm done with this. This is disgusting. Let's see. How do you get involved with the people you create your films with? The people that I got involved with, I met.
You ready to play a tentacle wiggle?
Oh God. Sorry about that interruption, folks.
Oh, you got something going on there. What are you doing? Looking at porns?
We met a lot of them at Adult Friend Finder, Craigslist, Behind the Alley, behind the Dunkin' Donuts.
Right, you look pretty busy here. I'm gonna leave this here.
Thank you. That. Thank you.
We're gonna play later, okay?
All right, Daddy. All right. Whew. Sorry about that, folks. I know they were all friends of mine that I grew up with around, and the people that I work with now mainly, I got through them too. They live in the same area, and just weirdos kind of tend to flock together, and you know, now they're just. I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what just happened here, and why there's strange moisture running down my back. Um, let's just change the subject here. What is the sickest idea or warped mind that you would put on film and haven't yet? I have a movie called The Abortionist that is absolutely horrendously, miserably terrible. It's really funny, I think, but I'm not sure if people will be able to handle it. But it's pretty raunchy stuff. It's very along the lines of Womb for Two. But we'll see about that one. I don't really want to get into that one too much. Let's see. Do you ever think you would venture into some different genres of film or just splatter horror? I really, really love comedy. Not that you guys could tell that at all, but I really like comedy. I like horror. I think the two mix very well together. But I do want to go in a more dramatic direction that's much closer to the type of fiction that I write. So the newer movies are going to be a little more on the serious side, but I'm still going to pepper in the weirdo shit with them because I couldn't stop that if I tried. God knows my parole officer probably would love me to stop, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Sickest idea. Let's see. Is there any any subject you would not take on? Mark, I don't think there's a subject that I wouldn't do. It just depends on if it's something I'm interested in. I mean, cannibalism, necrophilia, date rape, which you'll see if you watch Homemade Roofies and Suburban Holocaust. I mean, I'm pretty not offended by anything, and I love raunchy humor, so I don't think there's really anything that I wouldn't do. I am writing some short stories that are more on the serious side, but there's one about a school shooting. But it's not very exploitative. But I mean, I do try to, I like offensive things. We'll just leave it at that. Let's see here. Oh, Bathtub Clown. Hello. I did not see that you were here. Where do you get the fluids that you use in your films, and do you need a source? The fluids that I use, I generally make myself. Not to say that biologically I create them myself. I found out that's actually illegal to do without telling your cast and crew first. So we don't do that anymore. I'm the special effects artist, so I do all of the makeup and stuff myself. So the blood is corn syrup, water, chocolate syrup, food coloring. I like to add instant coffee as a great way to darken your blood and make it look kind of clotted and gross. So that's pretty good. But if you are looking to donate fluids, you want to meet me behind the dumpster at Dunkin' Donuts on State Street. Preferably between midnight and 2 a.m. is when I'm usually working, and we will talk. Let's see. Are there any other directors out there that you would like to collaborate with? Well, I'm very lucky because I get to collaborate with the directors that I like, which Audiodrome here, Eric Mearns, who just came up behind me and diddled me. My buddy Scott from Testosteroso, they're great. My friend Dylan, who's our cinematographer, he's a great director as well. I really couldn't imagine working with anyone else but them. Like, we're all on the same fucked up mind or wavelength, and it's just a really wonderful, wonderful thing to have them around. My favorite directors there are Peter Jackson, David Cronenberg, John Waters, Lloyd Kaufman, Sam Raimi. I mean, I would kill to even be in the same room as any of those guys. So one day, if I do something good enough, maybe I'll be able to hang out with them and play with the big boys. But until then, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. What do clowns taste like, really? Magic. They taste like magic. Do you use pro theatrical makeup in all your films? And if so, what do you prefer? Dustin Mills is a very good fit for me. Ron, he is a great guy. I met him at Fright Night Film Festival. He's actually the reason that I'm here right now. He told me about you guys. He's a wonderful man, and I'm a very, very big fan of his. As for pro makeup, I use a lot of the regular makeup I use is just cheap Halloween stuff because of budget reasons. But as we started to get bigger and bigger budgets from cool folks buying our DVDs, available at ReelSplatter.com. But we started using like Skin Illustrator, which is like an alcohol-based makeup palette, which is fucking super awesome. I buy all my other supplies from MonsterMakers.com. But I mean, everything is still pretty much homemade. Between me, Scott, and Eric, we've been building a lot of puppets and mechanical stuff, like you saw in the stall. So that's a lot of fun. Let's see. What's your stance on CGI and PG-13 horror movies? I would have to direct you to watch the opening scene of Long Pig if you'd like to see how I feel about PG-13 horror movies. CGI, I really, really do not like. I think that they can do much better with practical effects. I love practical effects, obviously. I mean, we did a little bit of digital stuff in the stall. I mean, I understand the necessity of visual effects sometimes, and I don't, I don't condemn them like I used to, because now that I know the process, that just as much work goes, into creating a digital effect as a practical effect in some cases. I just don't think that they mesh very well. It depends on how you implement it, though. It's with lighting, and it really depends on the amount of detail you put in. You can make CGI look pretty good. So I'm not going to condemn it, but I prefer prosthetic makeup and, puppets and raw tentacle stuff and all that kind of good shit. I mean, I will 99.9% of the time I will come out on the side of practical effects. Will we ever get a full-length real splatter flick? Yes. I am writing it right now. It's called Masterwork. It is about a young filmmaker who just graduates from school and is trying to make his mark on the world, and things do not go as he plans. It's a horror comedy. The horror really doesn't kick in until the last quarter of the movie, but it is incredibly depressing. It's super, super bleak and nihilistic. It's a little bit more on the dramatic side. I'm not sure how people are going to feel about it, but if you read any of my short stories, you'll understand the kind of tone that I'm going for. But that one's down the road a little ways. I need to try to find someone or sleep with someone who's rich and will give me the money to make it. So if any of you guys are rich out there or just looking for some company for the night and have like 10, 20 bucks on hand, email me. My email address is on realsplatter.com. Yeah, all the films, I mean, the budgets are pretty much raised just from selling DVDs at film festivals and stuff like that. I mean, all our crew works for free, so, and everything is paid for out of pocket. That's not, I mean, I work in a pizza shop, and like all my money goes into this sort of thing. So this is very, very low budget. But we will get a Real Splatter full length eventually, I promise. How do you feel about the show Face Off, and do you watch it? I subjected myself to Face Off for one season, and then I never put it on again. That show is absolutely horrendous. I think that it makes a mockery of actual makeup artists. It's I really just don't like. I mean, a lot of those artists I know from outside of that show are really good artists, but they give them these ridiculous time frames to create these incredibly generic character pieces that they want, and usually it's just a tie into whatever fucking horrible studio movies coming out. They have a guest judge, like fucking, what the fuck is his goddamn name? Paul Anderson, the guy who raped everything I ever loved. So they have him. It's like, oh, let's do a Resident Evil inspired thing because we have Resident Abortion #7 coming out with Mila Jovovich. So they'll do that, and they have like Total Recall the remake, and it's a fucking sham. And it made I really think that it cheapened makeup, and I really don't like it. If you want to watch a good show like that, watch Creature Core of Robert Kurtzman. It's basically a reality show, like a webcam show that he does in his actual makeup studio where they just film themselves working, and it's brilliant. It's online. I'm not sure what the website is, but it's great stuff. You can learn a lot. Kickstarter, I don't have a problem with Kickstarter. I may do one eventually, but I don't, at this point in time, I don't think I'm really quite ready to do something like that. I'd much rather fundraise the grassroots way, just selling DVDs to people and at film festivals and conventions and all that. I don't really feel comfortable trying to gain large amounts of money from people. I mean, again, I'm not opposed to it, but we'll see. Unless you want to give me a lot of money, I'm totally fine with that. Let's see here, what else we got. If you had to name a film that was most inspirational, influential to your career, what would it be and why? That's a really tough one. I would say Bad Taste by Peter Jackson is up on the list, very, very high. That movie blew my mind when I was a kid. To know that someone could make a movie that crazy, and it took 4 years with friends on weekends. At the time I saw it, that's exactly what I was doing, so that gave me hope that, it would work. And Dead Alive was another huge one. Anything by David Cronenberg, very, very inspirational. George Romero was a huge influence on me. All the old Dead movies, very big. As you can see behind me, I have a huge collection of movies that are all very, very inspirational to me. See, that was some of the oddest shit I've ever seen. Best Friend Lawrence was the most arty movie. Thank you. Thank you very much. My friend Lawrence is actually complete gibberish. Wrote that at work making cheesesteaks with Eric, and we decided to test out a camera that night, and I just kind of wrote some random lines. And it's funny because people assume that there is a meaning behind it because it's told esoterically, which is what I think a lot of art house cinema banks on. And there really is, out of all the things I've ever written, there really was no point to that one. So it's funny that people take it like that, but I mean that's the way it's presented. So I guess that in out of context, yes, it is a fairly arty movie, but it was fun. So I guess the message behind it kind of became the message is that there is no message, and it's just the way people perceive things or are taught to perceive things, I suppose. Let's see. Michael Bay rapes everything I love. Yes, he definitely. When that Ninja Turtles movie comes out, I'll probably kill myself. Do you accept outside ideas from others? I usually, I mean, I'm pretty hell bent on writing most of the stuff myself. I do collaborate with a select few people that I've known for many, many years. I'm not opposed to hearing ideas from other people, but I try to keep it within my own skull meat just because I have a really strange style. But if you have cool ideas, I encourage you to do them yourself. You know, grab a camera, start filming. You know, there's no reason that you shouldn't. Everyone should take up a camera and just do it for fun. You know, you don't have to make a masterpiece, but you make something, and you know, you practice and you get better. And you know, maybe one day you'll be rambling to a group of people on indie horror TV like I am, and kind of running out of things to say because I'm bad at this. Let's see. Paul Anderson Raper franchises. Yes, indeed. What are your thoughts on the works of Tom Savini? I had to ask. I absolutely love Tom Savini. Well, Tom Savini is a person at conventions is very unfriendly, and that kind of sucked because he was my idol as a kid. And finally meeting him, I was actually so starstruck I couldn't speak, and then he was kind of a dick to me. And then I found out that he's kind of a dick to everyone unless they have tits. So I'm actually growing mine out right now. So the next time I meet him, he might be nice to me. But his work is still phenomenal. His effects work, and he was a huge influence on me. What does Love say? What software do we use? I edit with Adobe Premiere. Currently, it's CS 5.5. I'm not going to upgrade to the Adobe suite where you have to pay monthly because I don't use all those programs often enough to warrant it. And really, Adobe, every time they upgrade their program, they just make it more complex and shittier. So I'm stuck with where they are. Seems like your tutorials on YouTube and Makeman effects. There been a single source that you learned from, or has it been more of a trial and error type of process for you? Most of the foundation of what I did, I learned just by fucking around with stuff. If you want to see a tutorial that's really good, sorry to plug my DVD again, but the Stall has a tentacle making tutorial that's really, really in depth, and was a lot of fun to do. I do plan on doing a lot more YouTube tutorial type stuff because I mean, I learned all this because a lot of indie filmmakers and makeup artists were kind enough to tell me for free. So, you know, I try to help people out and spread the word. Also, Stan Winston's School of Character Arts is really, really awesome. I've been buying their DVDs. They're for the more complicated stuff like animatronics. You guys should check them out. They've got some really awesome lessons. And I've been lucky enough to meet other, you know, filmmakers and stuff. Like I said, just hang out on set and learn. Tom Savini's books, Grand Illusions 1 and 2, are invaluable for a makeup artist. You should really read up on that. And DVD commentaries and behind-the-scenes features. Always, always, always watch the behind-the-scenes stuff on DVDs. It's film school on a disc. It's amazing. Let's see. The messenger, he is addicted. Blah, blah, blah. It's Rockwell Mike. Thank you. I will hopefully see you in my dreams as well. If you want to send nudes, again, go to realsplatter.com. My contact info is on there. Rhonda, you'd be afraid to meet him. As long as you have some cocaine, you should be fine. Have you ever used your influence to make friends or family do something ridiculous in your films? I'm not sure if you watched the movies we just played, but I do that all the time. We actually shot a series of Real Splatter Vines. You can hashtag Real Splatter if you're feeling a little not safe for work. There was one that I did with my mom that is called Caught, and I'm not going to get into it anymore, but it was probably the most vile thing I've ever filmed. And it took me about an hour in friendlies to convince her to do it. So you can watch that one of your, you know, if you so choose, and don't judge me. Let's see. Favorite Lovecraft story and why? My favorite Lovecraft story is Pickman's Model. Hands fucking down Pickman's Model. That story is fucking phenomenal, and that twist, I'm not going to give it away, but just awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. I love most of what Lovecraft has written, except for the dream cycle stuff. I'm not a big fan of the cats and all that jazz, but The Shadow over Innsmouth is phenomenal. I love that. Pickman's Model, The Color Out of Space, another fucking great one. The Haunt from the Dark, awesome, awesome stuff. If you have dead things in jars, he's nice to you then too. Oh yeah, I didn't know that. No, maybe I'll bring some of my fetuses. Like recently bought a copy of Terror at Blood Fart Lake. I've not watched it yet. Have you seen it? Did I waste my money? I have not seen Terror at Bloodfart Lake. Not sure what it's about, so I can't really judge. But it sounds interesting at the very least. I mean, you could have spent your money buying a copy of The Room or Troll 2, so you could have spent it worse. Let's see. MSB has to be marking out right now. I don't know what that means. Which is worse, Troll 2 or The Room? Well, Troll 2 at least has the excuse that it was made by an Italian director who has no idea what he was doing. If you watch the documentary Best Worst Movie Ever, then I kind of feel bad for the guy because he thought he was legitimately making something good. But Tommy Wiseau is just a fucking insane son of a bitch, which I kind of love him for. But I think that they're both equal levels of bad. Actually, if you want to, the third contender is a movie I was in called Amy. She Can See the Possessed. It was a Bollywood movie about Amish people being possessed that was filmed locally that I ended up in. It actually has Christopher Adkins from Blue Lagoon. And I have 2 shots in the movie where I'm playing an Amish person. There's just quick shots of me. But then I also played a bloody hand that smacks the glass, and then CGI comes out of my fingers, and it was really hilarious. So it was pretty awful, but watch it. It's like an alien who was just barely understanding how human beings interact made this movie. So that's a great one. I highly recommend that if you like shitty movies. Oh, huge Lovecraft fan. Excellent. He asked pretty much every director to make a Lovecraft film in the chat. See the first do it. Oh, wow. I'm surprised. There's a lot of Lovecraft filmmakers out there. I mean, I could never hope to ever do anything as fantastic as Stuart Gordon, and Brian Yesna, who does the most amazing Lovecraft stuff ever. But I'm very, very much a big fan. Let's see. I noticed from Facebook posts and stuff you created your own mic stand. Kudos on that. What mics do you prefer? Actually, I have that mic stand right here. This is duct taped. It's a pistol grip shock mount to a NTG2 Rode mic that I bought. I'm not really a big audiophile. My sound guy is Elias. He's amazing at it. But I don't know too much about it. But he had told me that the Rode NTG2 was probably the best for the money. That was about a $200-$300 microphone, and then they go up to, believe the next range up is like $1,000, and that's when you start to notice the difference. But really, it's all depending on when you're recording location sound, how good you are at doing it. I mean, how unplug your refrigerators, make sure you're not near an air conditioner. There's little things you can do on set to try to get better audio, and then a lot of it's just post work. Let's see. What parts of real life do you tend to pull ideas from? Do you people watch the mall, ride the bus, hang out in the DMV? I people watch all the time, mainly in the bushes outside of their bedroom windows. Around 2:30 a.m. is when the muse is really kicking. But every project I've ever shot comes from my life. Even though the movie seems super ridiculous and goofy, there's something personal in there that I'm getting across, whether or not people see it. The Stall was much more personal than most of the earlier projects, and if you really want to read some personal shit, my story, I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday, and a story I wrote about a zombie food service apocalypse called Play Place. Those books are Zombie Brain Bang and Strange House Christmas. Those are super, super personal, and you can see exactly what I feel about the world and the customers that come into the restaurant and all sorts of shit like that. So I tend to draw from my own life quite a bit. I know you love Martyrs. Have you thought of doing a film in the dark vein? I have some scripts. I mean, Masterwork is going to be pretty dark. Carnal House is pretty dark. Not Martyrs dark. It's not a Serbian film dark. I'm actually not a huge fan of that type of movie. I mean, I like fucked up stuff, but as long as it has a point, I don't like exploitative things. I don't like trash. I like if like a Serbian film and Martyrs, I felt had a point. There was a reason for them. They were done very maturely, and I like those. But I don't necessarily think that I could write like that. I mean, I've gotten into some pretty dark territory, but not quite like that. But I never know. Maybe if something else horrible happens in my life, I'll write about it and end up making Martyrs 2, The Revenge. I'm not sure. The first 10 minutes of Martyrs was fucking killer. Let's see. I have seen the whole film. Yeah, Martyrs is a very French movie. It's a little obtuse sometimes, but I really did enjoy it. I really like the portrayal of violence in that movie. I thought that was very, very visceral, and it felt very real, and it didn't really glorify it. It made it feel as ugly and brutal as it would be, and I think that that's a very important thing to get across if you're making a movie like that. Oh, thank you. You read I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday, Psycho Cinephile. Thank you. I'm very happy that you liked it. What's a movie you're ashamed of liking? Oh, I'm not really ashamed of much. Let me take a peek here and see what I got, but I'm not. I don't know. I really stand by everything that I watch. I am a huge fan of Degrassi, The Next Generation, which is a wonderful show. It's a Canadian teen soap opera that I absolutely adore, and I make no excuses for it. But that's probably my only really guilty pleasure. Can you see yourself writing a novel someday? I don't know. My publisher wants me to. I don't know if I have a full novel in me. Short stories, absolutely. I love writing short stories. But a novel, I'm not sure. I mean, I never know. I mean, I'm always looking to do, more projects. So maybe if I come up with something that would be able to be expanded into a novel, without any padding, then I would absolutely do it. Care Bears 2 is not back there. I actually have that's actually being lent out to someone right now. Let's see. Have you seen the film House, also called House? And if so, do you like that style of film? I don't think you're talking about House by Steve Miner, the 80s ghost movie with George Wendt in it. If that's the case, yes, I do love it. But I'm not sure if I saw the one you were referring to. You've collaborated on music videos. Ever considered making a horror musical? We had talked about that with Testosterosa. They were doing one called Dumpster Baby the Musical, which was going to be really, really fun. And then that kind of got canceled. Musicals, I'm not super huge on. I mean, I love Hedwig and the Angry Inch. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. That's actually one of the few movies I can say is legitimately beautiful. And that movie makes me cry every time I watch it. So does the episode of Pete and Pete where Artie leaves the show, and the Pinky and the Brain Christmas special also makes me cry like a little girl. In the interest of full disclosure, Serbian film is really good, Rhonda. You should watch it. It's Serbian film. I think they showed as much as they could while still remaining relatively tasteful about it. I mean, it's graphic, but I never felt like that movie was exploitative, and that's really important that they didn't cross that line. It never turned into sleaze. Like I hate the term torture porn, but those types of movies, they tend to go for like the super shock value. But a movie like a Serbian film has legitimate, there's something there, there's subtext there, and they really were making a real film. It was never supposed to be just, a shock campaign. So I do not hate on that movie or Martyrs. I would watch a Dumpster Baby musical. Well, The Abortionist has a lot of the same stuff in there. The baby's the Antichrist, and the doctor has to climb inside of the woman to fight it hand to hand. I will tell there's one really good joke where the woman is laying on the examination Bowflex in the back alley abortion clinic, and he puts her legs in the stirrups and ties them with a jump rope. And she says, "Doctor, what exactly is the procedure?" And he holds up a giant lollipop with Mickey Mouse on it. And he puts it between her legs, and he holds up a hammer like this, and he says, "I find it's easiest to lure them with candy." And the baby starts to crawl towards the lollipop, and he takes aim with the hammer, and we'll just end it there. House is a 1977 Japanese film. I will definitely look that up. That sounds pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Japanese horror. Not Japanese ghost horror, but things like Evil Dead Trap and Takashi Miike I absolutely love. So I will certainly try to find that. Trying to think here what other there have been any movies that actually disturbed me. I mean, a Serbian film, I was kind of dead silent for a while after I watched that. Martyrs kind of took me for a bit of a loop too. But it's pretty hard to get under my skin, really. Trying to think here, what other turn around the old collection. Back on the torture porn subject, the movies that I cite as examples is what the wrong way to do something like that is. is August Underground, the fake snuff movies. Those movies are absolute garbage. They're just complete shock and exploitation. There's no redeeming qualities to them whatsoever. And just watching someone getting tortured, there's nothing entertaining about that. There's no point to that. And I think that that's the kind of stuff that kind of gives horror a bad name to people. And I don't think that that's really where the genre should be going. Let's see. Aside from the borough pulling your location, any runs of the law or crazy stories involving injuries, etc. from your sets. We did have the police called on us once while we were filming Long Pig. There was a scene that we cut out where Dr. Chud, who's played by me, the guy in the gas mask, is holding the engineer sign, and they drive by. And we had the police came, and they were, they'd been in several neighboring houses that had called the police, and they'd freaked out because there was a guy in a trench coat and a gas mask holding a sign professing the end of the world. So the cops came, and they come up to me, and I take my mask off, and they're like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, oh, we're shooting an independent horror film. And then they looked at me, they're like, wait, are you Real Splatter? And I was like, yeah, I'm Mike Lombardo. Like, I love your movies. And then, which kind of made my head explode that they actually knew who I was. And they sat there and they BS'd with us. I took a picture with the cop, wanted to get a photo with me next to the police car with the Dr. Chud gear on. And then he looked up at the houses, and he's like, oh, shit, I'm supposed to be working. So he pretended to scribble something in his notepad and pointed his finger and said, now don't do it again, and then winked at us and left. That was really the only time the police have ever really bothered us during that. We're generally pretty safe on set, too. There's not too much involving injuries aside from Long Pig, where we slammed the trunk on his foot and he got stuck in there. But we amputated it, and, it's no big deal. We do like to shoot in horrible conditions, though. The stall was filmed in, 27-degree weather and 97-degree weather, depending on the season we were filming in. So, we're pretty masochistic in that sense, but no one ever gets hurt. What do I feel about Blood Feast? I love Blood Feast. Blood Feast kicked off the splatter movies. I mean, that movie is shock and exploitation, yeah, but I mean, it's in a much more innocent sense, I feel, because it's so goofy. And that was kind of pushing the boundaries of what you could do in a movie. I mean, no one had seen anything like that. So Herschel Gordon Lewis, he was really the pioneer that gave me one of my favorite genres of movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love splatter. I just don't like this new, hyper-realistic, ultra, mean-spirited stuff. I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, I'm not horribly opposed to it. I just prefer, honestly, I like weird comedy more than I do straight horror a lot of the times. And you run into the locals. The locals always fucking stare me down. My neighbors are actually terrified of me. They think that I'm a serial killer, which I think is pretty funny. But generally, people keep their distance. I've had a few clips of us filming movies pop up on YouTube before from people filming from their windows and shit when we were doing zombie stuff, which is always funny. See, why Tiny Whiteys? Why not Underoos? Tiny Whiteys, it's just this weird visual for me that I think just it makes me it's extremely uncomfortable for me to see a man wearing whitey tighties in the context that we generally shoot it in. It just makes me feel like that person's especially vulnerable, and almost pathetic in a way. I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense, but it's just one of those weird visual things. It just seems really creepy to me and uncomfortable. So we like to do that. Have you had any obsessed fans like creepy letters and strange autograph requests? Well, LP Danfall 26, if you'd like to be my third stalker, I'd be more than honored. We have had a few weirdos. There was one kid who was cyber stalking me pretty heavily, and then he got my phone number and would call me and leave me hour-long voicemails where he would read entire scripts over the phone. He also had a handwritten script that was about 100 pages where he scanned every single page and then emailed it to me. That was a bit of a problem, but he eventually tapered off. I haven't had anybody ask me to autograph anything weird. Actually, this one person asked me to autograph a skin ornament once, and she was this really creepy lady. I can't remember her name. Something Walton. Ron or Rhonda. I can't remember. But let's see. I'll be 48 and under. Tiny Whiteys are hilarious. It's actually a very... It's weird. I was talking to some of my friends about this with my friend Lawrence, and especially if you watch our Vines, it's interesting because most people when they cameo in their own movies or they put themselves in a film, they try to look as attractive as possible, and they want to be very nice looking because they think that they're going to pick up the opposite sex with it. when we put ourselves in movies, we try to be as disgusting and vile looking as possible, which, I mean, this doesn't just happen. You know, it takes years of hygienic and nutritional abuse to get myself like this. But when we're in movies, I really like to be like the creepy pervert character, and it's really gross and nasty. So I think it's nice to have a sense of humor about yourself. I think it's fun like that. So, you know, I'm not going to have a calendar with my face on it anytime soon, like the Beebster or any of those guys do, unless it's an FBI most wanted calendar, I suppose. Your vines are disturbing to say the least. Will there be more? And someday we complete the lot on the DVD. Thank you for thinking the vines are disturbing, because I think they are pretty fucked up. The vines will be coming together as a compilation that will be on Real Splatter Volume 2 with the Whimper, which will have the Stall, Carnal House, and probably the Abortionist, along with like My Friend Lawrence, some of the smaller shorts we did. So you can look for that in about 2 years, probably. But there will be incremental DVD releases. I might throw them up on YouTube eventually as well. But the Vines, I'm not sure if we're going to do any more. We filmed all of those in the space of 2 weeks. And I actually, for the first time in my life, I ran out of ideas. It's really hard to write a 6-second short, especially when, you know, you're trying to film with a cell phone without editing capabilities and stuff. But it was yeah, that was an interesting period of my life. Why lava lamp rape? Well, Bathtub Clown, I'm glad you asked. I don't remember why the lava lamp thing came up. When we did a documentary about my tattoo. Actually, if I can undress here for a minute. This is my first tattoo. We got Dr. Chud and film tearing out of my arm, which is the cover of Suburban Holocaust movie. How well you can see that. But I got that tattoo, and we did a documentary where we filmed the whole process. And the intro to it, I was talking, and I just, out of the blue, started doing these weird voices, and we ended up doing a lot of mouth close-ups where I talk about, I said these lava lamps won't squat on themselves, and it's a really fucking weird thing, but it kicked off this really bizarre obsession that I have now with it, and it's very, very, very strange. Let's see. Your masquerade Halloween parties are legendary. Any chance of taking that shit on tour? I don't know if the world could handle one of the masquerades. Those were huge ass Halloween parties we threw, where I pretty much turned my house into a haunted house for the night. But I don't know. Maybe one day we'll do Real Splatter on the road. Okay, well, looks like we're gonna wrap up, guys. If there's any final questions, let me know. You watch Christmas Story too much. Anyway, if you guys are into the movies you just watched, check out realsplatter.com and pick up a copy of The Stall or Suburban Holocaust, which has all of our old short films on it. We really appreciate it, and that money pretty much funds the next movie. So if you like watching them, I want to keep making them. So, you know, open your hearts and your wallets, please. And we will be on tour with The Stall at film festivals, so, you know, I hope to see you guys on the road, and thank you very much, Indie Horror TV. You guys rock, and I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too. And thank you. Keep it real.
Hey gang, Janet Decay here, your yummy mummy hostess from the Daughter of the Ghouls show. If you like that last movie, there's more coming up. We've got blood,